favour and don't block the mirror.
Okay. Is that blocking the mirror? Is that okay?
That's kind of blocking the mirror.
Okay, what about that?
If you hold it up a bit and left a bit, that's better.
Okay. Now I get this to be a bit brighter so that people can see me. No, almost no one can see me. Okay, hello and welcome.
In the shell.
Yeah, this is all a bit new and weird. I am on a 3-hour road trip, and it seemed like since I am sat in the passenger seat of the car, might be a good idea to try talking about the ADEPTICON reveals. So
It doesn't count as a road trip.
it's a road trip. We are on the road and we are making a trip. My lovely wife is driving and will be heckling from time to time. Say hello to the interwebs.
No.
And I'm being tickled from the back seat by my daughter. Yeah, so ADEPTICON, the reveals from that were pretty awesome. The biggest one I guess we have to talk about is the Age of Sigmar reveal. That's not as much as I was expecting, but at the same time it's somewhat more. So for anyone who hasn't checked it out yet, go over first of all and check out after you've watched this live stream, obviously, go over and check out the cinematic trailer for Age of Sigmar 4. This is kind of the same sort of thing that they did for the Horus Heresy re-release, and I guess for kind of the 9th edition and 10th edition 40k re-releases. It's this kind of high quality, almost cinematic video game cutscene type trailer. This one all about a Stormcast from the Hallowed Knights chamber fighting against various foes from the Age of Sigmar. And what's quite nice, I suppose, is the 3 previous foes that it kind of shows her fighting over the course of her time as a Stormcast is the Night Haunts, Chaos, and the sort of Swamp Orcs. So it's kind of nice. It kind of features the 3 previous army boxes for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar as foes that she has faced in her time as a Stormcast. To say a quick hello to Hobby Waffle. Hi, Si, how you doing? Yeah, I'm trying something new. I am trying a live stream whilst I sit in the car, bobbling around, currently on the motorway.
Slightly better lit by the junction of Slough.
Yeah, today's lighting is brought to you by Slough. Junction, 7 of the M4? But yeah, so going back to the Age of Sigmar trailer, after she battles her way against the Cruel Boys and the Night Haunts and Chaos Hordes, then it shows her facing a new foe. A giant lightning bolt kind of erupts from under the ground in the realm of Akshi, and then before you know it, you've got Skaven everywhere, and it's kind of cool. You kind of see some of the stuff that, like we did with the 10th edition, in particular the 10th edition 40k trailer, you get to see what is essentially going to be the contents of the 4th edition box. So there's the kind of huge rattling cannon thing that we've already seen as very thematic lighting. Yes, like I said, I'm being lit by Slough at the moment. The giant warp lightning cannon, rattling cannon thing that we've seen leaked as one of the contents from the box.
That was the speed cameras of Slough, actually, but I'm doing 66.
Oh, somebody else has been caught on the speed camera then.
Magic speed, right?
The other stuff that we see there, we see kind of the Storm Fiends, see loads of kind of squealing rats. We see a rat on a kind of vermin, kind of giant mount. I don't think what the term is. Giant Skaven warlord mounted on a giant rat, essentially.
It's the bit that no one ever hears of you because you normally cut these bits.
Yeah,
out.
the bits of me waffling and going, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm not driving. Crowd Command, hi. No, I'm not driving. I am sitting in the passenger seat, enjoying yattering on about Warhammer whilst I'm being driven.
Your control for your wife is driving because your driving can be scary.
1 second, I'm being tapped on the shoulder. But my daughter, yes, Rosa. Oh, okay. I'm being tickled, apparently. No, okay. So, going back to it, the only disappointment, I suppose, with the trailer is we didn't get to see any models. And I can't remember for definite, but I will swear that when they did the 10th edition 40k trailer, that they then at the very least showed us a couple of the new models, like one of the new Space Marine Terminators and one of the new Tyranid Gaunts. This time around we didn't see any new models. That doesn't mean we won't see them tomorrow maybe, and certainly not in the weeks to come, I expect. But the other thing was the kind of the teaser, the build-up for the last few days. We talked about this on the Morehammer podcast last week, is they had this teaser tagline, Sigmar lied. And I kind of said it was all a bit like the old Inquisitor strapline that they had when they released the 54mm Inquisitor. You have heard about the Inquisition. Everything you have heard is a lie. And this time round, it turns out that the lie was, well, basically what we already knew it to be, which was, hey, come and be a hero for Sigmar. By the way, your soul will slowly erode away every time you get reincarnated. So, although you are immortal, you will eventually become a soulless automaton on behalf of Sigmar. So, I guess it's not really a lie. It's kind of like Sigmar forgot to mention something, which I suppose doesn't quite work so well as a strapline. But the other cool thing that kind of almost, I think, perhaps cooler than the cinematic trailer was what came after that, which was the news about what Age of Sigmar 4th edition is going to look like. Yes, it is getting the full 10th edition 40k treatment, i.e. it is a almost complete revamp, it seems. And to that end, they have said that they're going to have to re-release rules for every faction for Age of Sigmar as a free-to-download PDF. Gosh, I'm so glad I picked up the Nighthawk book a few months ago. I'm really glad, actually, I didn't give in and pick up the Flesh into Court one.
Standard.
Yeah, standard GW tactic. Hey, we're releasing a new game. By the way, everything you have currently paid money for thus far is now, in terms of rules, is now entirely superfluous.
Not Deus Ex Machina. Nothing that existed before exists now. It's free.
Well, it's very Deus Ex Machina if the Games Workshop were to swoop in at the 11th hour and go, oh, but don't worry, by the way, we will give you money back for all of your army books. No, I don't expect them to do that. We're now past Slough, so it's gone dark again, which is why I look like I'm in the Blair Witch Project. No, if I was in the Blair Witch Project, I'd have a light under my chin. I'd like a torch under my chin, and I'd be snivelling into the camera.
Windsor's over there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, we passed by Windsor. I think this will all be much better on the M25. So, the
How often would you ever
major,
say that?
and, well, it's on a Friday at least. The major piece of news is that the way in which things are going to work in the game are changing. The army books that they have published before now will no longer be valid, which I guess means that they're going to Ground Commander said, I'm so happy for you that you have a hobby supportive family mate. don't make the driver laugh uproariously, we'll crash.
No, he won't. I'm a good driver.
Yes, the rule books that have been released for Age of Sigmar thus far all kind of becoming obsolete. It's a bit of a shame because I don't know about the other army books, but the three that I picked, I've got the Stormcast book, the Maggotkin book, and the Nighthaunt book, and they're all really good, the 3rd edition books. I think they're probably some of the best ones that they've published for Age of Sigmar thus far, and I was kind of disappointed that they're going to now all become obsolete. What is going to be interesting is what is it about the way in which the game is changing that is going to make them obsolete, because they already kind of moved the rule set for 40k 10th edition to be very, very, very similar to how Age of Sigmar 3rd edition was working. And I wonder what that means for what they're going to do to the rule set. Are they going to do something complete blinder and it's going to suddenly start resembling 40k 7th edition or something? I don't know.
Do you or do you not spend a load of your time hunting down old edition GW Warhammer stuff?
Yes, I absolutely spend.
Why would the same thing not happen for the people that just can't let go of previous editions of Age of Sigmar?
I don't know. I suppose there might be people out there who go with wistful fondness for 1st edition Age of Sigmar. Yeah, Army Waffles just said 2nd edition 40k. Yes, if you have like 7 hours to play a 3-turn game. 3rd edition 40k and 4th edition 40k, that's where it's at, I tell you.
Is that when you met me? Is this why I wasn't scared off, because it wasn't 7-hour games?
Maybe, but I think actually we started dating during 4th edition. It may have still been 3rd edition. Good lord, that's quite some time ago. Which issue of White Dwarf tea are you wearing today? It's the Bugman's White Dwarf tea. So this is White Dwarf 233. I've actually done a White Dwarf walkthrough on this one. This was the one that had 3 battle reports in. Appropriately, it had Skaven. It had Skaven versus Dwarves in it. And we'll get on to Dwarves in a minute.
More importantly, what Warhammer t-shirt have you picked for mother-in-law's 75th birthday tomorrow?
Yes, I have a choice of 2 t-shirts for mother-in-law's 75th birthday. Either I wear my Bretonian one, which, you know, is kind of nice and knightly, but it's been worn quite so often that it is a little bit kind of weather-worn, like
She's bought you you a few nights in your time.
She has, this is true. But the alternative is, the one that's looking much more kind of pristine, albeit it's something more chaotic, is my second edition 40k Chaos t-shirt with the guy, you know, demons on the front and the guy with a huge power claw brandishing it against a bright yellow background and the word chaos blazoned across it.
Science, you'll think you've branched out into rock music t-shirts.
I mean, there was an all Games Workshop did have a rock band at one point. Did you know that?
50 mile an hour.
We're just going on the M25 and it's got a 50 mile per hour speed limit. Oh dear. Okay, so Age of Sigmar, what's going to change for it? I think this is something we might have to talk about in more detail on the Warhammer podcast next week, so make sure you tune in for that. Oh no, it's okay. It's only if you're going south on the M25 that it's average speed. We get to go full speed on our northward rim around. The main thing that, yes, this is good. I'm just going to comment about where we're going as we go. The main thing that we're going to see for Age of Sigmar that I'm particularly excited about is something that actually we talked about on the podcast, and we got it bang on. I think this may have been Si. Si, was this, you're on the channel, was this something that you suggested? That they're basically doing the combat patrol for Age of Sigmar. So the start collecting boxes, whatever they're called now, are going to be essentially an army in a box. So you'll be able to just pick up one of those armies, put it, and it's automatically balanced to use against all the other ones on the tabletop, just like they did with Combat Patrol. I think that it was Si that suggested that. I thought it was a good idea, and I think he's right, because it turns out that's what they're going to do. So that's going to be pretty cool. I might have to pick myself up a new Combat Patrol type box for Age of Sigmar once 4th edition comes out. Yes, Si confirmed it was him. Spearhead, it's called. An appropriate fantasy-esque name as opposed to Combat Patrol. Speaking of fantasy, let's address the elephant in the room, or dwarf in the room, as it were. Warhammer the Old World Dwarves. Yeah. Oh, this is so good. This is pretty much what I was hoping for. So it's all the stuff that was kind of released, mostly in 7th edition, it looks like, coming back. So it's the multi-part plastic dwarven clansmen that made kind of warriors with axes and shields, or warriors with great weapons, or warriors with handguns, or warriors with crossbows. I think those were released in 6th edition, but they were then kind of the prevalent unit choice throughout 7th and 8th. Those are coming back. They're already kind of obviously got the Iron Breakers, Hammerers, Iron Drakes, and those units, basically. Longbeards as well, I think they make. We've already got the plastic kits for those. Those have been doing the rounds since 8th edition. Dwarves, you can hear me cheer from Lancashire. Yes, there may have been a by Grundy's beard moment, as I saw it this morning. The coolest stuff, though, is the new stuff that's coming out. So there is the new Dwarf Lord on Shield. It does not look as if this is a re-release of the kind of long-fabled multi-part dwarf character on Shield with Shield Bearers kits that was supposed to have been released back in 7th, and then, as the legend goes, somebody dropped the mold and broke it. It looks like it's an entirely new sculpt, much in the same way as they did new sculpts for the kind of Bretonnian command box, the one that did kind of the Battle Standard Bearer on foot and on horseback. I'm not 100% sure that I like it as much as I like the old dwarf shield bearer model, the Auric model. I'm kind of hoping that the Auric model will get a re-release as well, because it just looks a little bit Votan to me. It looks a bit chunky. I mean, to the point where you could probably get that kit, stick a Votan Carl on top, and it would look eminently cool in a Votan army. But no, the one that's particularly cool is the Slayer King. And not just the fact that it's the Slayer King. And this is one when I did my which characters might come back for the Old World video. God, this was last June, I think. Ungrim Iron Fist I mentioned as having been alive at the time. But of course, he was only young and only recently ascended to the throne. And yeah, the model that they've released from is very different from the kind of the old traditional metal model. I mean, it's taller, I would suspect, but he's not got his classic dragon scale cape draped around him. Yeah, Ungrim, as Si's just put in the chat. He's not got this dragon scale cape draped around him. I wonder if that's because he hasn't killed that dragon yet. Maybe he's still just like a giant slayer or something this way. Maybe he hasn't made it as far as Dragon Slayer. But it's a really, really nice model, and there's lovely callbacks in there. Like if you compare the axe on the new model to the classic metal model that was released way back in like 4th edition, I think, it's the same axe. It's literally got the same runes on it. It's just kind of upgraded. There's also a cool kind of dwarf Thane on an oath stone model with a handgun. I wondered at first if that was going to be like a new special character, because it does say there's going to be 2 special characters in the book. I am now thinking that Thorbreck Ironbow is going to be the 2nd special character in the flavor pamphlet, because we've seen that the Anvil of Doom metal model is getting a re-release, and that was the Thorbreck model. And as I mentioned again in that video, he was alive during this period. So my money at the moment for the Arcane Journal is Ungrim Iron Fist and Thorbreck Ironbow as the 2 special characters that are in there.
Is it a crossbow?
Ungrim Ironbow? No, it's not.
Why would you make a bow of iron? It's not bendy.
Because he's a dwarf. They don't faff around with things like wood. If we have the other new metal models that are the old other metal models that are coming back, then we saw there are the Doomseeker models that were released way back in the Storm of Chaos for 6th edition, and although they didn't announce it in the article, it was abundantly visible in the little video that they aired. There was the Grudge Thrower, which is interesting because that was invented by Malachi McKyson in the background. I mean, he's literally on the Grudge Thrower as part of the crew, but the period in which you're laughing at me for, I have to breathe occasionally. I know I'm like the most excitable guy on YouTube, but I have to breathe occasionally.
Sorry, I glanced in my mirror, but what I mostly saw was your face bobbling around on screen, lit by other people's indicators.
Yeah, if the crowd in the next one could like just put their full beams on, people can see me more clearly. Yes, there is the Grudge Thrower, which is kind of this dwarven multi-axe blending machine. It's just lob repeated axes at. Why would you have a repeater bolt thrower? You have a repeater axe thrower. But yeah, Malachi McKyson invented that during the Storm of Chaos. He's obviously not been born yet. He certainly hadn't got around to inventing it yet. So I guess maybe they're retconning it, or maybe they're just kind of going, we don't care, it's just cool. But the Grudge Thrower and the Doomseekers and, of course, Ungrim Iron Fist were all part and parcel of the Slayer Keep list that appeared in the Storm of Chaos. And I strongly, I'm going to put money on it. I will put a $5 on it now. If I get this wrong, I'll give my wife a $5. I strongly believe that...
$5 of what?
£5. £5 of their Earth money. I strongly suspect that one of the 2 lists, the thematic lists that will appear in the flavor pamphlet will be the Slayer Keep list, which is cool. Because I didn't get a chance to use that back in the day. I've got a nice big unit of 20 Slayers now, and I can get some more Slayers and some Doomseekers and a Grudge Thrower, and I can then just drive over to where the orcs are and blend them into a kind of a fine green paste.
Those all sound like they're worth more than £5.
Yes. I'm giving...
How much would all of that be worth on a shopping list?
£100? So are you saying that if I'm £100 maybe?
I'm saying that if you're wrong, you give me £100.
Hang on, so if I'm wrong, I give you £100. If I'm right, do you buy me £100 worth of dwarves?
No, you can buy it with
No, let me know in the comments, folks. What seems like a fair wager to have with my wife?
If you're right, you get to spend your £100 on that.
No.
If you're wrong, it doesn't exist.
If we're gonna make a wager, you still haven't honoured the last wager we made on this channel. I
have offered. You've had more important things.
Supposed to be playing a game of 40k against me.
I have
new editions come out since you last made that wager with me.
I have offered. You wanted to do a whole thingy walkthrough. How many people have watched that?
Okay. Anyway, no, it was highway maintenance. Oh. Yeah, let me know in the comments, folks, what seems like a fair wager with my wife on this. If I'm right, how much should I give to her? And if I'm right, how much... No, I got it wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm not giving you the money. If I'm wrong, how much money? My daughter's now yelling from the back seat to give her the money. Okay, let's move on. The other dwarf stuff that it said is coming back, it says there's 4 lords coming back. I mean, this seems highly likely is going to be the 4 metal lords again that were released during 7th edition. So the one that's doing wonderful purpose in my dwarf army at the moment. So the kind of grumpy one with the long mustaches leaning on the hilt of his axe, the one with the 2 handguns, the one with the big double-handed axe, and there was a 4th lord. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the one they released during 6th edition. But those 4 are coming back, and they've also said there are some other characters. There's 3 runesmiths. They released 2 metal runesmiths again during kind of 7th edition. During 7th edition, there was the one with the double-handed rune staff held over his head, kind of smiting downwards, and there was one kind of kind of weird, gribbly, beardy one leaning on his rune staff. Then, of course, there was the classic runesmith that was released for Grudge of Drong. I really hope that he's coming back as well. Given that they said that there is a dwarf queen coming back as well, that suggests that Helga, the dwarf queen from Grudge of Drong, is coming back.
Does she have a beard?
She does not, because she is a dwarf queen, and dwarf women in Warhammer do not have beards. She has long plaits. It said her name was Helga Longplaits, because I actually have two. I'm getting sarcasm from the 9-year-old in the back, who I'm about to point out. I have two models of the Helga Longplaits, and actually I've painted one of them, and the 9-year-old in the back has painted the other. So maybe I'll share some pictures of those over on Twitter or on the Warhammer Discord at some point.
She only remembers her griffin.
She does only remember the griffins that she's painted. And there's also another classic Dwarf Lord model coming back. I only assume that if we've got the Grudge of Drong runesmith and we've got Helga coming back, maybe it's Drong the Hard himself, which does make the quest that I've spent the last 3 years tracking down all the characters of Grudge of Drong so I can play Grudge of Drong as a series of battle reports on the channel. Somewhat pointless, but hey, it just means I've got to get them painted before Games Workshop re-release them.
Did it make you happy?
It made me very happy when I got them. And actually, I've got to say a quick thank you to Willard, who helped me get the classic Drong model because he had him hiding in his bits box and sent him to me. That's Willard from My Tale of Four Gamers series. Hi, Willard. All this means to me is if they're going to be releasing dwarves for the Warhammer the Old World later this year, I guess it means I'm going to have to play the Grudge of Drong battle report like I promised. So back at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to play one of the classic 5th edition campaign pack battle reports. It was either going to be Circle of Blood, which I was going to play against Bobby from Albert Ian for Gamers, or it was going to be Grudge of Drong. And I threw the options open to my Patreon and let them vote on it. And overwhelmingly, I think it was something like 3-2, the votes skewed in favour of Grudge of Drong. Maybe what I'll say is until the end of the month. Last chance to get any votes on that one till the end of the month. But if it doesn't change, then I'm going to do a video on assembling the scenery from Grudge of Drong, so you can get more videos of me gluing myself ineffectually to cardboard and cursing. And then there'll be a series of videos playing through the Grudge of Drong, which, given the models are coming back, seems eminently appropriate. In terms of what else I'd like to see released, because obviously when they announced the Orc release, there was tons of stuff that they said was coming back. The video has shown the classic kind of Bugman's beer cart, which again, I've got as a gift from a friend. I've got kicking around in my bits box. I'll have to get that built and painted in the very near future. And they also showed Prince Uther's Dwarven kind of retinue, one of the classic regiments of renown coming back. What I wonder, those are going to be made to orders, which makes me think that they're not necessarily going to have unit entries in the flavor pamphlet, the Arcane Journal. But what I do wonder is what else might we see in the Arcane Journal? Because aside from like Doomseekers and the Grudge Thrower, I would hope for at least a couple more of different kind of units. I would put in suggestions. If anyone's got any thoughts on what those might be, please, shout out in the comments. In the meantime, let's move on to some of the other stuff that appeared on the Adepticon previews. There was loads of other stuff that appeared on there. I want to touch briefly on Warcry. So I really like Warcry. I've got a whole bunch of Warcry warbands. I haven't actually had a chance to get a game in with it yet. I've read the rules thoroughly. And
which one's that? Is that the one we nearly took on?
That is the one we very nearly took on holiday. I actually had 2 Warcry warbands fully packed and ready, a couple of bits of scenery packed, and we were all geared to take them on holiday with us, but in the end there just wasn't room in the suitcase and they got ditched back into the games room.
To be fair, based on the state of our suitcases when we got back,
yeah, wouldn't have made it back given that our suitcases were basically ripped open. I should have brought it with me this time. We could have played it in the hotel. Never the mind. Anyway, Warcry. So they've announced a new Gnarlwood box that's coming out. This is going to be the Ossiarch Bone Reapers versus the kind of Sylvaneth. And it's cool because the Sylvaneth haven't had a Warcry warband. I don't think the Ossiarch Bone Reapers have had really. I think the Ossiarch Bone Reapers at the very least got rules in White Dwarf for Warcry warbands. But the Sylvaneth have got their first Warcry warband. It seems like a kind of cool mix. There's like 3 Dryads, 3 kind of Tree Revenants, and a Spite Revenant, and then a character that is covered in bees. I really do like the spellcaster's got kind of beehives nesting in his branches, and then kind of swarms of bees buzzing around him. I might have to get him both for my Sylvaneth and also get a second one that I can kind of Nurgle up for my Garden of Nurgle army, where my convert Bieber of Nurgle that I've got as my, I can't remember the name of the character now, the one who rides around on the snail. Anyone who can remember whose brain is working better than me can say in the comments below.
Snail Grot.
He's not called Snail Grot.
He is now.
My version of it's called Bumblesome Top. But anyway, so the only thing that I find slightly disappointing about this is the Sylvaneth models are all just kind of tree models essentially, and there had been a lot of rumours saying that it was actually going to be Kanothi that were going to be appearing with rules for Warcry. For anyone who don't know, what Kanothi are these kind of half satyr, half elf, wood elf models that appeared in one of the Warhammer Underworlds box sets. Oh, I'm just going to navigate. There is a problem coming up on the road.
They went away. I hate.
Bear with me. I'm going to navigate.
No,
I don't need to navigate. I'm not going to navigate because it never ends well. We'll end up in Belgium. Yes, Kanothi appeared as a little kind of warband with a centaur, a little lion, and some satyr guys, all kind of war dancer style hairdos in the Warhammer Underworlds box, and then we've never really seen any more of them, and I was really hoping, I'm really kind of looking forward to seeing them come back in a big way for the Warcry. It seems a little bit of a shame that they've gone down just the traditional Sylvaneth route, but on the other hand I can understand that on the basis that, like I said, Sylvaneth don't have anything for Warcry yet, so it's kind of cool to give them their own Warcry warband in this regard. I'm still going to keep my fingers crossed for a Kanothi, especially given that the Ossiarch Bone Reaper character that came with this has kind of a bony centaur. It would have been very cool to have a Kanothi centaur and a skeleton centaur kind of facing off against each other.
Do not get excited.
Don't get excited. Why should I get excited?
Because it looks like there's an accident on the M25.
Okay.
So we're going up via Cambridge Way. So we're probably driving near Duxford again.
We're going past the Imperial War Museum again.
Don't get excited.
I'm going to get a little bit. It's closed now anyway. It's not like we can dive in and take another look at the Spitfires and Hurricane and stuff. If you haven't been to the Imperial War Museum in Duxford, it's awesome. That's how I spent my Mother's Day. Best Mother's Day ever. But yeah, getting back to it, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers come with not one, not two, but three little kind of bone dog cat things. Up until now, each of the Warcry warbands recently released under the Gnarlwood range have had kind of a animal companion, which has been quite cool. But this is the first one to have three animal companions released with it, and I think that might make this set worth getting all on its own. The other thing worthy of mention from this Gnarlwood set, it has quite possibly the most disturbing piece of scenery yet. It's like this giant weird tree stump with a mouth full of fangs at the top. If anyone who's seen it, it looks like the Dune sandworm popcorn bucket with a bamboo platform bolted on the side. That is extremely concerning. The other stuff that we have seen coming out of this, I mentioned Underworlds. We get a new Underworlds warband. We get two Underworlds, in fact. So continuing in kind of the kind of Frostgrave kind of approach to Underworlds, we've got a Flesh Eater Court warband that's got kind of a little kind of mini bat-winged dude, which is pretty cool. And then there's, I guess it's almost the warband that nobody expected or asked for. The most I can compare it to is, I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a Cities of Sigmar Warhammer Underworlds warband, because it's essentially a bunch of Sigmarite fanatics. Then when we saw the silhouette of them, we all assumed that it was going to be like a Stormcast silhouette. But in actual fact, it turns out that it's not. It is a bunch of just mere mortals cosplaying as Stormcasts, including a character that appears to be one guy sat on somebody else's shoulders in an overcoat. Yes, this isn't a Stormcat, it's two flagellants in an overcoat. It's a bit weird, especially given how nice a lot of the Cities of Sigmar army range that they've released have been up until now. But, I mean, hey, what are you going to do? It's not for me, but I'm sure there'll be people like that who will see this and go, ooh, those models, I need those for my Cities of Sigmar immediately, and rush out and get them. Let's stay, I want to leave kind of 40k and Horus Heresy till the end. Let's stay with the news about other specialist game stuff that's coming out. So we've covered Underworlds, we've covered Warcry. Necromunda got a teaser trailer. It really was kind of just a little teaser trailer of it. It was like a 30-second video with some silhouettes in. But what is cool is what I think it means. So this one seems to be suggesting that, having spent some time now mining and delving in the ash wastes, the war gangs of Necromunda are going to be delving deep underground, like a mining expedition. But not underground in the wastes, no. It's underground in the Underhive. it looks suspiciously to me as though we might be venturing in the next range of Necromunda games into the Sump. Down, 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 down. What I'm excited about in this regard, and I know I'm excited about a lot of things, is
His daddy triggered me.
the Sump is where the Scavies live, and I have been waiting and waiting for Necromunda Scavies to come out. They haven't. Necromunda's been back now for what, like 5 years? We've basically had re-releases of almost all of the other warbands except for everybody hated them so much in previous editions of Necromunda. The silhouettes themselves that they showed did not look like kind of Scavies or Ratskins or anything like that. They looked more like, certainly there was like a Cawdor looking one and a Vansar looking one. So what I'm assuming is that much like they did kind of upgrades for the Ash Wastes, for the various core house games, they will now do kind of digging into the depths upgrades for the various house gaps. So maybe we'll get like, Vansar mining crew or like, Cawdor deep core scavenging crew as part of Necromunda. But when they launched the Ash Wastes, we got 2 whole new warbands out of that. We got the Squat Prospectors and the Ash Waste Nomads. So it is not beyond the realms of possibilities to expect that when they launch into what heavily appears to be a delving into the Sump, that we might get, Pit Slaves, we might get Scavies, we might get whatever version of Ratskins is. I did say this in the podcast last week at the Warhammer podcast, that I thought that the Ratskin Beastmaster model that they'd released for the Giant Rat was heavily implying kind of the style that they might be going for with Ratskins in the latest edition of Necromunda. So who knows what we're going to see. The other thing I want to compare, I haven't had the chance to do it yet, is the colour scheme and the artwork in this little 30-second teaser did look extremely similar to the colour scheme and the artwork on the Outlander supplement. So I want to do a side comparison on those. Maybe I'll do a little short once I'm back from this road trip, just showing how those compare. No, I'm talking about Paris, quite the opposite of Paris.
What's the opposite of Paris?
The sewers underneath a giant megastructure on a far-flung planet in the 41st millennium.
Paris has sewers.
This is true. Okay, not entirely the opposite of Paris. Anyway, Necromunda, that's pretty cool. The other things that we then saw as part and parcel of the Adepticon preview was Chaos Space Marines for 40k. I'm not massively excited by the teaser from this, because I mean, all we've basically been shown is, hey, look, a Chaos Lord on foot and a Chaos Lord with a jump pack.
Yeah, but it's Space Marines. They're obsessed with always making sure they're teased more than anything else.
Well, yeah, that's it. But I mean, in terms of what we got for Chaos Space Marines, is literally, it's like, I'm assuming, 2 models, or maybe even 1 model with 2 poses. One of the guys on the Warhammer Discord did point out that Dave Smokeson, the Smoke Sculptor, has been out again. He has sculpted the foot for the Chaos Lord. The Chaos Lord on jump pack is literally only attached to his base by a thin wisp of sculpted smoke. They do like doing that. Models, it does feel like now that they've got kind of high technology that they can do with plastic, they do kind of have this attitude of, almost like there's a competition going on at head office of, hey, let's see how we can make the most illogically balanced model possible.
It's called art, right?
It's called art, yeah, it's dead artistic. But anyway, I was really hoping that when we got the Chaos Space Marine release, we'd get something more than just a couple of characters. Like maybe they'd give us something like, I don't know, a new unit type. And I speculated on maybe, I know we've got the new Night Lords coming for Kill Team, but I thought that maybe we'd get something a little bit different, like a new unit that was originally part of the Heritage, like Breaches, like Chaos Breaches. That would be cool. Chaos Eye Warrior Breaches, that would look cool. No, damn it, they listened to us about Spearhead. That was a big pothole. That was a very big pothole, folks.
I think I still have all tires.
Just check we've got all 4 wheels. Yeah, we still appear to be rolling. Hopefully the rules that we'll get in the codex might be a little bit better. Yeah, hopefully the different battle plans and stratagems and stuff that we'll get for Chaos, where the Chaos releases, will be better. Maybe there will be more stuff coming for Chaos Space Marines. Maybe they just haven't teased it yet. Maybe it's just... No, I put a Rice Krispie square in her lunchbox for her.
Can I have it?
If you want.
Sorry, do you want to stay vaguely on topic?
I'm trying to stay on topic while people munch on tasty treats in the back of the car.
People, it's your daughter.
She's a person. Are you saying she's not a person?
No, but I'm saying she's not multiple.
Anyway, Chaos Space Marine tease might be just that. It might be we are going to get some more stuff when the Codex releases. The fact that they label it you do discombobulate me frequently. I mean, to be honest, we got bigger 40k previews on, like, you know, just a random Thursday than we did at Adepticon, and that's a bit of a shame. What we did get was the next Kill Team box. I know I had said when we talked about this in the Warhammer podcast that I was really kind of hoping that maybe we'd see like some Exodite Eldar models, because we've got, you know, Corsairs, we've got Dark Eldar, we've got like Eldari, we've got Harlequins. Exodite's basically the only ones that are missing. No such luck. Harvey Waffle instead called it with the Hernkin Pioneers dismounted. This is clearly just intended as something else for my buddy Sean to add to his Space Squad army. They do look very cool, all kind of their big duffel coats. Yes, Dasuk Sean, DJ Ook. I do feel like maybe it's quite tempting to get a set of those and then kind of sculpt a few of them with red hats and paint them blue and attach tags to them saying, please look after this dwarf. But they're quite cool. Of all the kill teams that they've released recently, this is the one that most piques my interest. But they're up against Genestealer Cult. And this is a weird one, because the Genestealer Cult that they've thrown into this box is kind of an odd mix of models that already existed. So they've thrown the Magos model, the Patriarch, and the little kind of gribbly familiar, and the I think the Alpha that they first released in the Deathwatch Kill Team box yonks ago. And then they've released it basically every time that Genestealer Cult have gotten a release. They've kind of rolled these out again. They've basically added them into this box again. So it's adding existing kind of quite old models at this point to the box, alongside some new Genestealer cultists that are just kind of sculpted to match the existing Cadian range. A little bit underwhelmed with that. I think there's a lot more that they could have done with Gene Cult from that. I mean, where's my Genestealer Cult limousine, damn it? As it is, yeah, the most interesting thing for me for the box otherwise is the new there's these new plasma generators that basically look like a cube. It's like a cube with a door in the side. I think they do look quite cute though. I'd probably like to get those to add to my Necromunda board. I bet if they are anything like the rest of the kind of the Adeptus Mechanicus series that they've released, that they will just fit quite nicely alongside all of the Necromunda series that I've got, which I can then have my Scavies when they get released climbing all over them. Speaking though of Mechanicus type stuff, that was something when we talked about on the podcast I suggested, and if anyone's wondering why I'm bright red at the moment, we are just behind a stationary truck.
You wanted truck lights?
I've got lights. Yes, it wasn't quite the lights, it's the brake lights of a ginormous truck just in front of me. It makes it look like I'm in like the end stage of a red sun. The podcast, we speculated what the Horus Heresy release was. The Miniatures Apothecary was really hopeful that we might get things like Breacher units, that we might get things like Destroyer units, all the other kind of core units for Space Marines for the Horus Heresy that have thus far not been released. I speculated on Plastic Mechanicum, and given that the teaser, this 30-second teaser they've released, is a red planet with the Martian cog symbol flashing over it, I think it's safe to say
the what?
The red planet with a Martian cog symbol flashing over it.
Oh, good.
Yes,
I heard something else.
This may well be marked as not safe for kids, but I'm not going to go saying things like that on the stream. Yes, I reckon this is going to be plastic Thalax, plastic Castellax, plastic Ursarax. Hopefully, just fingers crossed, Games Workshop, if you are listening, could we get 40k rules for things like the Thalax as well, please? Throughout the Black Library novels, set in the 41st millennium, Thalaxi and other things like that, the kind of the Ursarax and so forth, are all part and parcel of the Mechanicum still. They still use them, and yet we have no 40k rules for them. If you're going to go to the trouble of making a plastic kit for them, please give us rules for using them in the 41st millennium, because they go lovely alongside some of the rest of my Metallica army. But yeah, that is everything announced at Adepticon. It's a fairly full range, to be honest. I mean, we didn't get anything for Blood Bowl, but then to be fair, the Gnome Blood Bowl team got announced a few weeks ago, so I think we're kind of spoiled in that regard already. There was no new game release, unlike previously where we got things like the Legions Imperialis game teased. There wasn't this sudden kind of surprise announcement of, hey, Blackstone Fortress, second edition, or Battlefleet Gothic is coming back. No, nothing like that. Yeah, we are going around the bone-shaped roundabout at the moment. But the thing I am pondering is, this was all the reveals that they announced for Adepticon today. The Adepticon is running for another few days. It would be amazing if at like, the end of Adepticon, Games Workshop went, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you. Here's another surprise reveal. We can but hope. I will be back on the More Hammer podcast on Monday, where we will be talking in greater detail about all of the stuff that I've just generally wibbled through now. So make sure you, if you're not already subscribed to More Hammer, MOREHAMMER, please come over and subscribe. Or, you know, if you Spotify, we're over on Spotify with that as well. And I will have my usual Friday video up tomorrow. I'm being lit by the trucks again. So again, it looks like I'm in this kind of post-apocalyptic
no,
thing.
the last one was an Italian truck. This one's got less
It's
lights.
a slightly different truck. I will have my usual Friday video up tomorrow, which is, again, it is a return of the Ultramarine Successor chapters. It's the last 3 of my Ultramarine Successor chapters. They are going to be all on the channel tomorrow, so make sure you come over and give that a watch.
It also has a very nice sticker with a OK symbol on a hand saying it's okay to talk. When are you doing that mental health video?
Yeah, but that's something we're going to do at some point. Yeah, we are definitely going to do a video on mental health in the near future, and that is a topic that we will be covering on the More Hammer podcast as well.
Yep.
No, yeah, Mattel, we're doing a Barbie surprise Warhammer Barbie video.
Oh dear God.
It would actually look quite cool. We'll convert.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the wrong gear. Okay, you concentrate on driving instead of heckling.
Really believe that.
Sarcastic 9-year-old is sarcastic. As I was saying, we are doing. We have my usual Friday video up tomorrow with the last of the Ultramarines Primogenesis Successor chapter, and I am going to be doing a video about mental health and the hobby in the near future, and that is also a topic we will be covering on the More Hammer podcast, as that is something that myself, Luke, and Simon all feel very strongly about. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I also have plans for some more old world content. Yes, in the next few weeks there will be some more old Hammer videos, and I have asked the lovely driver.
Just looked at me for that.
I asked my lovely wife, who is currently driving, to do a Battlefleet Gothic battle report video with me. Because what was your masters in again? What? No, what was your masters in?
My masters was physics. It was literally a master of physics.
Yeah, what was the specialist subject that your mastery was on?
My dissertation was on landing a impactor on Mars and simulating.
A game set in space, and she can critique how realistic the different rules representing.
Sci-fi because they break all the rules.
She's going to comment about exactly how realistic the rules are, and how obviously effective they are as a representation of how things would work in a real spaceship combat. So keep your eyes out for that. Plus, Battlefleet Gothic. Oh yay! I'm going to get to play Battlefleet Gothic on my new Battlefleet Gothic mat, and you get to play a battle report of that, as I have been promising for a while. Okay, well, that seems like a good place to wind things down. So I've still got 2 hours to go, folks. So come over and chat with us on the More Hammer Discord. I will be on there. Leave comments on subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will, as ever, catch you next time. Bye for now. That's the driver waving. Both hands on the wheel.
We're going to have lights. We're going to drive under the giant Stevenage shopping mall.